What's going on, YouTube? How's everybody today? Heard that. So today we're going to talk about a new album, an album that just came out not too long ago by an artist called James Pants. This is his second album. It's called Seven Seals. It was released in 2009 on Stone's Throw Records. James Pants, real name James Singleton. He's from Spokane, Washington. He hooked up with Peanut Butter Wolf, who was the head honcho at Stone's Throw Records at one of Peanut Butter's performances. Took him out record shopping, gave him some tapes of his music, hit it off, got a record deal. Recorded this album, his debut album is called Welcome, and it's an awesome little piece of like weirdo electro, 80s influence, R&B, hip-hop and stuff like that. Lots of, weird drum programming and very heavy on synthesizers and stuff. Very goofy, very silly music. This album, I guess, well, I'll read you the description they have on the website for this one, Seven Seals. Seven Seals is made while reading mystical books and the Book of Revelations, and inspired by being in the mood to start a cult. This is the cult soundtrack. And I don't know, that's kind of a weird story. I also read that it only took 2 weeks to record this, 2 weeks to make it. He just holed himself up in this cabin or some secluded area in Spokane, Washington, and just made this album. I think he was listening to a lot of Joy Division because he sings a lot similarly to Ian Curtis, who is their lead singer. He's got this kind of dark, faux depressed, kind of whispered kind of thing going on here. James Pants, he's a guy with a sense of humor. He is not afraid to get ridiculous or, be silly. He's got a very kind of self-depreciating way about him. Like, he's very silly. I will say this album is a lot darker. It's a little more driven than Welcome was. The songs are a little more complex in arrangement. They've got saxophones on here, sleigh bells, a little more guitar. Still very, very heavy on the weird kind of synthesizers, like the retro sounding synths. Like, sounds like something out of some 80s krautrock band or something like that, like synthesizer from, I can't even think of an example off the top of my head, but yeah, very retro vibe, a little more psychedelic, but it's lost all the hip-hop elements. There's no guest MCs on here, no rapping, just James Pants carrying the whole weight of the album. It goes on for 39 minutes, it's 15 songs long. Some people are saying it's a lot more cohesive than Welcome, and it is. Like, Welcome was very varied. It wasn't all that cohesive. It had all these different ideas going on, where this album just has kind of a theme about it. Some people are saying it's a concept album, and I don't really think there's a concept per se. I don't think just making an album because you're reading about books and revelations makes it really a concept album. Like, the reoccurring theme on here, like, I guess there's a theme of like some weirdo spirituality and like questioning reality kind of thing, but it's nothing I'd really call it too much of a concept, really. But going back to the whole thing that's more cohesive, I don't think an album has to be cohesive to be good, as long as it's got a variety of ideas and it's got a bunch of good songs on it. It's, cohesiveness, I don't know, is it overrated? I think it might be a little overrated. Like, if an album's way too incohesive and you're like, oh, this is just some discombobulated mess, it sucks. But cohesiveness, I don't think, is essential to a good album. But yeah, it's still, it's moderately creative. It's got all these kind of spacey sounds. It's still not afraid to be ridiculous like his first one is. Like I said, it's less straightforward, a little more complex. It's not as robotic, but it's also not as groovy. Like, the hooks aren't as strong on this album. It's not as catchy. It's not as immediately accessible. I remember when I first got James Pants' first album, Welcome, I liked it right away. I fell in love with it. I still can listen to it to this day. I think it's really awesome. I can listen to it from front to back and like thoroughly enjoy it. And I've been listening to this one since I got it, since like last week, and it's still, I haven't taken a shine to it at all. Like, nothing really sticks out. I don't know if I'll bring it to work, if any songs will play. Like, I do like the song Thin Moon. I'll try that out, but it's gonna be very iffy. Sure, I think his songwriting's growing, but he's losing kind of his catch. Like, I don't know, maybe it's better live. Like, I'm not sure. I tried listening to it with headphones on, and it made it a little better, but I'm still like, it's not as catchy. It's nothing memorable about it. I just don't like it as much, I guess. Like, I don't know. But yeah, Hooks aren't as strong as the original, blah blah blah. Artwork's kind of neat though. It's got all this kind of dark, demonic, epic artwork. It's got a little picture of him on the back there, sitting by some tall grass. His eyes are cut out, black and white picture. Dressed like a very sharp man, the sharp man that he is. And then it got a little, has a little more detailed picture of the front art where the black and white's reversed. You can see all the little details, satellites, little jam band going on. Some destruction in the sky there. Yeah, still like a very strange album, very, very unusual, fairly unique. If you're into like weirdo synthesizer music, electro stuff, like it's definitely got a very unique vibe about it. It's still more or less good. I would never say this is a bad album. I'm just saying compared to Welcome, I don't like it as much, where I immediately like this one. Welcome, this one isn't really has done anything with me. It hasn't turned me on in any way, but could have been a little more groovy. I guess, like I said, it only took him 2 weeks to make. Like, you could probably, like, took a little longer and expanded on some ideas. Like, I don't know. Why would you only spend 2 weeks on something? But whatever. Seven Seals, James Pants, 2009, Stones Throw Records.